Hey everyone, I'm Carter from Big Time Update, and today we're going to be talking about the classes of the game. Big Time has been out for a couple days now, so we have a bit of news regarding the classes. Currently, there are 4 classes total: Chronomancer the Mage, Time Warrior the Swordsman, Shadowblade the Assassin, and Quantum Fixer the Support. Chronomancer is the wizard of Big Time. They use mana to cast spells from far away, and because Big Time doesn't auto-lock onto enemies like other MMOs, the class has to be quite accurate. That makes it up for a high DPS and medium AoE character. Currently, the way Big Time has set up their weapon systems is that any class can use any weapon they want. The only limiting factor for what they can use is that the weapons have a skill requirement. We will get into that on a later video, but for now, know that Chronomancers typically would want to use staffs. The class has many different abilities that can be unlocked in the skill tree, and every class has a skill tree that they can spend skill points on that they accumulate from leveling up and gaining XP. A couple abilities that Chronomancer has access to at the beginning is Fire Blast and Firewall. Fire Blast is an AoE skill that deals massive damage to enemies, and the range is only a couple meters in diameter, so it isn't that big as Time Warrior's swinging ability. You do have to prime most abilities in the game to use them, so while priming, enemies can still hit you and cancel your ability. For Firewall, it is another AoE pyrotechnic ability. It creates a blockade that if enemies were to walk through, they would be hit for great damage. This ability is great if you are needing some cover from enemies to revive an ally, as it could kill any that go through. Another skill that is known is Rend Armor. This ability is a debuff to enemies to destroy their armor layer, and it is similar to how armor penetration works in other games. There are more abilities than the 2 I just mentioned, but if you want an in-depth look into each class, please do let me know. The next class to discuss is Time Warrior. Time Warrior is specialized in using swords and other heavy weapons. This class is designed for anyone who likes to play up close and personal to the enemies and deal massive amounts of damage. They are equipped with some good damage and blocking capabilities, and their signature weapons are battle axes, great swords, and swords and shield. Time Warrior has many different abilities, including Barbarian Shout and Taunt. When you cast Barbarian Shout, a radius of damage explodes from you, and any enemies that are next to you will take massive damage and be knocked backwards. This ability is great if too many enemies are on top of you and you need to create distance between them. This ability also pairs really well with Time Warrior's other skill, Taunt. Taunt attracts all nearby enemies to the Time Warrior. This can be used to round up enemies in a close area so that you can use an AoE skill on them. It could also be to lure enemies away from others so they can heal allies or themselves. The third class is Shadowblade, the Quick Assassin. They are an agile and stealthy fighter that requires the user to be up close and personal with their enemies. They have massive amounts of speed, which makes them great for rushing dungeons if you just want to earn NFTs, though they are also good for traveling around the map if you want to use this class for travel and a different class for DPS. The weapon of their choice is Dual Blades. These have quick speed and combo ability, but the trade-off is that they are poor for range and blocking. Their abilities include Backstab and Smoke Poof. To use Backstab, you must be behind your enemy, and once you attack them, it will do more damage than you would before. This is a hard ability to pull off, which makes this class a little bit more difficult than the others, but the speed this class has makes up for the difficulty curve. The other ability of this class is Smoke Poof. This ability confuses the enemy and stuns them for a short period of time, so it pairs really well with the Backstab. Once you confuse them, you can deal more damage than before. It can also pair really well with other classes such as Time Warrior's Taunt and Chronomancer's Fire Blast. In my own opinion, out of all the classes, this is the weakest one, but still has great use, so that's not to say it's worthless to play. The last class of Big Time is Quantum Fixer. This is a really important class since it's the only healer of the game. When enemies do massive damage to you and your team, you'll want a Quantum Fixer. Fortunately, Big Time realized that there's a stigma against support characters and that they do very little damage, so they decided to create Quantum Fixer to be an all-around class. They can do a number of damage to their enemies with their hammer, but once it's time to heal their teammates, they have a couple of options. Number 1, they can heal with their signature. This creates a radius that, if allies are inside, will heal instantly. The other option is the Healing Aura. This will create a radius around the support and will heal themselves and any allies within the radius. One last option for healing, but is not limited to Quantum Fixer, is the Tree of Life. This is a temporary consumable everyone gets when entering a dungeon that will create a huge AoE when stood inside and will heal you and anyone else over time. One note about this is that the Tree of Life will heal you more if you are crouched instead of standing. That's all for the specifics of the class, though let's say you aren't enjoying the character you are playing. You can swap classes if you have a pocket watch. These pocket watches allow you to switch classes, but also include a tier and stats for the class you are swapping to. Another thing to note is that there are more skills than what I listed, but those were the basic ones that you start out with. Other skills can be gotten from sub-skill trees, which are achieved by equipping gears onto your pocket watch. Gears are found through killing enemies and allow you to upgrade your characters even more. Though I will talk about equipables on a later video. As for now, please do support the channel and the content I put out by subscribing and liking the video. It really does help. If you have any suggestions on what to talk about next, do let me know. But for now, peace.